Jackie? All right. I'd like to call to order the June 22nd, 2021 regular meeting of the Northfield Township Board of Trustees, 7 p.m. Join me in the invocation. Dear Heavenly, most merciful Father, we come before you this evening and are tasked with leading our community, Lord. We ask that you guide us in the decisions that we make, and that those decisions be what we believe in our heart to be in the best interest of our community. We ask that you watch over us in his most merciful name. Amen.
Amen.
Second, I'll make that. In the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
I
allegiance
pledge
to
allegiance to the flag
the United States
of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Next, Ms. Manley, would you call the roll? Let me remind you, please state your where you're located at, including your county and city and state.
Otto,
Jackie Otto, present, Northfield Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan.
Chick,
Janet Chick, Northfield Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan.
Nelson,
Joshua Nelson, Northfield Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan.
Moko,
Nate Moko, present, Northfield Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan.
Zelenak,
Present, Northfield Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan.
Manley, present, Northfield Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan. Dignan,
Present, beautiful downtown Northfield Township area, Washtenaw County, Michigan. Present.
all here.
All right. Next is the approval of the minutes of the June 8th meeting, regular meeting. Make a motion to approve the minutes. For support.
Support.
Motion by Dignan, supported by Chick. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Manley, will you call the roll?
Dignan,
Yes.
Zelenak,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Moko,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
7-0.
Next is approval of the agenda. I would like to remove item 3 under new business in regards to the DDA appointment that was prematurely put on the agenda. There's some clarification we need to get on the number of positions that are available, because I think we have 5 now, and also the terms and roles of the DDA that need to get straightened out before that comes back to the board. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the balance of the agenda as amended.
Support.
Support.
Motion by Dignan, supported by Chick. Any discussion? Ms. Zelenak.
So should we just table it or postpone it once we get there?
I was just going to remove it because that won't be the exact item that'll be on the agenda in the future.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Manley, will you call the roll?
Nelson,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
Moko,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
Zelenak,
No.
Manley, yes. 6-1.
Okay. Next is petitions and communications. If there's any members of the board that would like to address the board in regards to items that are on the agenda this evening, you're welcome to do so at this time. You'll be given 3 minutes to address the board. Simply raise your hand and we will call on you. Seeing no members of the public with their hands up, we will go on. Board member, oh, hold on just a moment. There is someone. Mr. Olin,
Yes.
go ahead. 3 minutes.
Yes, Adam Only, Northfield Township resident. I'm hoping that before the next meeting or in the near future that we could come up with a hybrid plan not only to allow people to live stream the meetings, but continue to participate in the meetings with the call to the public through a hybrid model. Community engagement is a big part of the board. So I think community engagement is higher participation when we have these online meetings. I agree. I want to get back to person. I want to see all you in person, and I look forward to attending meetings in person myself. But I think with the technology that we now have, I think a hybrid model is definitely something we need to look into and be able to accommodate people to participate in these meetings. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Olney. All right, if there's anyone else that would like to address the board, please raise your hand. Now we'll move on to board member comments. I would like to say that I would like nothing more than to also have a hybrid plan. At this time, though, at the advice of our legal counsel, that is something that we are not ready to move forward with. Certainly would be something I would like to pursue down the road. Are there any other board member comments? Yes, Ms. Chick.
I support Mr. Olney's comment on the hybrid meetings, and I guess we haven't heard exactly why the attorney doesn't think it's a good idea. I could understand it might be an issue for trustees as long as they're attending in person. What is the issue with the public having to be able to participate via virtual participation?
Yeah, and it is a technology. It's overcoming the technology challenges.
Okay,
So,
and I did want to
the last meeting we ran was an absolute disaster. And we did not, with the previous board, and it was an absolute train.
Right, we were going to.
Yeah,
look
and that
into
was
doing
because of the
something
way
better.
it was set up.
Yeah, we can do better. Yep. But I still had one more comment. We watched, some of us attended the webinar for the American Rescue Plan Act. It was pretty informative, but I will say if board members have not seen their township focus for this month, there's even more clear and concise information on the ARPA program in that. So if you haven't seen it, take a look. It's pretty informative. That's all.
All right. Any other comments or clarifications? All right, hearing none, we'll move on. Correspondence. I did not have any correspondence. Anyone else? No? Okay. Next is old business. It is the approval of the L4029 setting of the millage rates for the fiscal year 21-22. In your packet. I'll make a motion to adopt the L4029 2021 tax rates for the 2021-2022 fiscal year.
I'll support.
Motion by Dignan, supported by Otto. I guess one of the things that I'd like to point out, just because sometimes folks don't see the breakdown of this and understanding, I took a look at the median value of a home in our township, which is $211,400. And just a breakdown on these things, that breaks down to, your township operations, your general operations of your township operates for about $6.67 a month. You pay for police services at the rate of about $37 a month. Fire is about $17, and the paying off of the bond is about $6 a month. So a total of all those services, it's about $67 a month for a home that's valued at $211,400. So that's yes, Ms. Chick.
Yeah, I just want to thank, this is the first time we've actually seen this in a packet, and I think it's good information for the residents as well to take a look at this so they can see exactly where the money goes. I really appreciate having this. Thank you.
Yep. One thing I will say too is, the allocation for the township and the township levying for just our basic operations, we're operating basically at about $250,000 less than what was originally levied. That's correct, Ms. Zelenak? Am I correct?
Pardon me?
We're about
As
a
far
quarter.
as the township? Yes,
Yeah, Headley. And
yes.
you know, I'd like to look at that in the future. I think there's some creative things that have been done in our county lately in regards to that and protecting that levy. The township operates on 1 mil for your general operations, and that 1 mil is it's precious to maintaining and operating the offices and such. And I think it's important that you know, we look at that into the future and figure out how to best leverage that to the value of the community. So, but when it's a $250,000 less than what it originally was, the costs don't go down, but the revenue rate does. So, all right. Any other questions or comments? Mrs. Elena?
So you may see it at different times in your board packet, but the board does have to approve this so that we can levy it. So sometimes it comes closer to the December packet because we collect the township millage and the police fire for our township in December. That's when we collect it in the winter taxes. But it does have to be approved by the board for the treasurer can actually collect it. So I think you'll find it in other packages. It's just a matter of timing on it.
Thank you, Ms. Elena. Anyone else? Hearing none. Ms. Manley, will you call the roll?
Manley, yes. Zelenak,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes,
Dignan, Moco,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
7-0.
Next is Resolution 21-644, General Appropriations Act, year 2021-2022 budget. Your packet. Welcome, Ms. Starbuck.
Hi, everyone. Mr. Supervisor, can I make a comment?
She may.
So Lenore, Ms. Zelnick pointed out to me that there is an error on the building fund expenditures. So I had to go in and change the building fund allocations, and I didn't update it on the resolution. So apologies for that. I suggest just a friendly amendment to change that. It's listed on page 5 as 134,300. It should be 140,535. And to that point, I've been looking at different ways that we can present the budgets this year. I tried to start very early, but then when it gets late and there's lots of changes, that's just an opportunity for error. So we are trying to look at maybe a finance committee, like a formal finance committee, to help just kind of like troubleshoot stuff and look at different options. So just to ensure that the residents get the best information and that everything's good in the packet, I do have to transfer it from like the database to 3 different spreadsheets and then to a resolution, so mistakes happen. So I do apologize. So I just wanted to make that comment first.
Repeat that corrected amount again.
140,535, and that's the amount that's reflected on the budget spreadsheet.
Okay. I guess I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 21-644 as amended.
I'll support.
Motion by Dignan, supported by Nelson. Discussion on the motion. Ms. Chick?
a quick question under section 2, Chief Administrative Officer. It states that the township manager shall be the chief administrative officer, but in the interim, because we don't have a township manager at this time, should we designate someone else in the interim? Or is it not necessary?
I can speak to that if necessary. It is delegated from the supervisor to the township manager, as far as I know, based on statutory duties. So I think it would just revert back to the supervisor.
Okay, do we need that in there, or are we just, it's an assumption?
That's-
Okay,
That's a general law township.
okay, thank you.
I do,
Ms. Otto?
I do believe that we should have a finance committee. I do think that several eyes on this, working on it for over 8 years. There are just some things that to look for in these, on these budgets. But she's right, there's a lot of moving parts on this. So mistakes do happen. It's good to have more than one eye on it.
I concur.
Yeah, and we do appreciate everything Yvette has done with the budget. It is a lot of work. I am admirable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, Ms. Mann, call the roll on the resolution.
Chick,
Yes,
Manley, yes. Moko,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes,
Dignan,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Zelenak,
Yes.
7-0.
Next, consider a recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Board to award a bid for the Northfield Community Park Design RFP.
Yvette has a question, I think, or a comment.
I'm sorry, Ms. Starbuck, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to head out, but I just want to thank the board and members of the public for feedback and help through the budget process. It's one of the bigger things we do in the year. The audit is the other one, which will be just around the corner. But I just want to thank everyone for their help.
Thank you, Ms. Starbuck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, with the amendments, the final amendments for the budget, correct?
Yep, well, we'll see you all next week for that.
We'll see you then. Thank you, Ms. Starbuck. Right. So, Ms. Otto, would you like to give us a synopsis of things and what brought the committee to the point that we are today?
yes, I will try to do that without background noise. So we are at, the board decided that we needed to have a park designer for the Northfield Community Park. It was brought back to the Parks and Rec Committee to go through. We had a small subcommittee that worked on this. There were 4 individuals from the Parks and Rec Board that worked on this. And what has happened? Oh, geez. Just a minute.
All good. He just wants to get his fair share.
Cats crossing the road. That's all that's happening. And what we did is we went through a process. We reviewed the proposals. We did go out to bid for the RFP. We had 9 firms that came back. The process was that we reviewed the proposals. We did face-to-face interviews on all 9 companies. We did a reference check on all 9 companies. And then based on that, we did a scoring. And then we opened up the pricing packet, and that was the last thing that was scored from there. We wanted to make sure that we weren't looking at the pricing to sway us one way or another. We wanted to base a lot of our scoring on the firm itself and what they could do and their creativity, the way that they interact with the public, the way they interact with their clients. So that's how this whole thing was based on. All 9 companies were given the same questions. We did record these, so if anyone wants to go back and look at any of the recordings, Jennifer does have those recordings. And based on that, we had 3 firms that we recommended. Fleiss and Vandenbrink is the first one. I'm going to do this in alphabetical order. This isn't in order of preference or anything. Johnson Hill Landscape Ethics Studio, and then OHM. So what we've asked each of them to do tonight is to provide a 10 minutes of presentation to the board. And then after their presentation, then I'll make a motion. Or anybody else can. So the first one, and I'm just do this in alphabetical order. The first one that we have is Fleiss and Vandenbrink. And I think Rick Stout is the one.
Okay.
He has his hand up.
Yep. All right, Rick, you've been promoted to panelist. You can show your video and your audio if you'd like. That's good. All right.
Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, it's always interesting when it starts out, when it allows you access, but it's got you muted and no video. So it takes you a while to make sure you've got all the buttons clicked. Yeah, I'll be, I guess, talking with Jackie again, just trying to give you a little bit of a brief overview about our company and a little bit about our process. A lot of this information was in our submittal packet. So again, I'll keep it fairly brief. And if you have some questions at the end, I'll be happy to try to address those. Let's see. Does the screen on your end have why Fleiss and Vandenbrink?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
A little bit about us. We've been in business for nearly 30 years, and we have offices across Michigan and Indiana. We are a broad firm of many individuals with broad experience and diverse backgrounds. Landscape architects, civil engineers, traffic engineers, architects, surveyors, along with field staff. So we pretty much have full in-house capabilities and currently serve nearly 100 communities across Michigan and Indiana, mainly the smaller communities under 50,000 is kind of our niche, if you will, and which gives us a good experience, not only in municipal engineering, but also some private development, which also I think with your park project and the township's vision on parceling off some of that property has some benefit. One of the key things, again, dealing with smaller communities, we've been very successful in pairing up projects with financial components. And to date, our communities and clients received over $750 million in grants and loans. So again, that's one thing that we really try to do is look at the project scope and how to pair up some of the additional monies to make them happen. Because I think that's really our goal, is to really help communities get projects built. As I'd mentioned, we have offices in Michigan, Indiana, but our Farmington Hills office is just down the highway from you folks, less than 30 minutes. So we feel that we can be fairly timely in responsiveness to you. And also, if there's other ways that, preference and communication, we're very open to technology, but one of our big strengths, which we like to promote, is a face-first firm. So it's been a little bit challenging during the pandemic. If that's one of the things we really like to do, is get in front of communities and be face-to-face. Zoom and other types of things have really helped us at least keep contact with communities. Again, with that diversity of backgrounds, one thing we also really strive for is accuracy and projection of construction costs. And when we track our figures, that we really try to take time when we go through the design process, working with the client, defining the scope, that we average less than 1% change between as-bid costs and final construction costs, excluding if there are any owner-driven changes when you get into the end of the product. But we really try to keep those numbers in check, because especially, as everybody's aware, in the last year with the pandemic, it's a really volatile market out there. We're seeing some costs as high as 30%, 40% above the market last year. So those things have to be taken into account when you start looking at budget projections and financial models and how projects are going to work. Along with the $750 million in grants, one of the areas of emphasis, which is my area, is working with communities on securing funding and performing design in the areas of park and recreation, public gathering space type projects. We're currently involved with the city of Royal Oak on their Centennial Park project, along with some other neighborhood parks, and working with different grant fundings through the CDBG and other types of programs. But it really starts with us in many communities, working with them in the formulation of their 5-year park and recreation plan, helping them through DNR grant application process, and really helping to prepare the grants applications, and hopefully getting communities funding. I think we know some of the key initiatives that are currently active with the DNR, and a lot of that is, I think, key in really positioning the project in the best light when you're really starting to look at trying to capture some of those competitive monies. The other thing I'd mentioned is, again, with that diverse team, we've got vast permitting experience and maintain relationships with the regulatory agencies. As many of you know, Eagle is going to be a big player, a big participant in the process as you start trying to access the lake and what can be done over there. And the other big, I think, key contributor to this process is going to be the County Road Commission. Obviously, you've got the park that's separated by the roadway. And I think that, we've already talked internally about what opportunities for traffic calming there might be. Is there anything for advanced pedestrian warnings and things like that? But again, we've got our traffic engineers on staff. We can do synchro modeling and that type of aspect. So we think that we've got the visionary side of our firm, which I'm involved in, but also the practical nuts and bolts, kind of working through it and helping you get to the point of construction. So I think we feel like we're the kind of the jack of all trades, and really have all those capabilities in-house, that we don't have to team up with other people. And again, we're pretty active in southeastern Michigan. We're working with not only Royal Oak, but Northfield and Troy. So we've got some a real foothold in some of the areas there. And again, we would love to participate with you on your project. A little bit about our process. In our proposal, we just highlighted a 4-step process. And the first step of being articulate and discovery, virtually setting a kickoff meeting, kind of working through with your committees, and really working on building on those past efforts. We don't see this as a going to ground zero or starting over process. We want to take the legwork that's been done, see if there's some opportunities maybe to step back and look a little bit outside the box, but we want to build on those and we want to keep that moving forward. We understand that, you know, the people involved in the townships, this is a process that's already had, you know, nearly four years running on developing this vision for the park. And our goal is to help kind of keep moving that forward and end up in a constructible project. So once we've got some of those key issues, the key players identified in the articulation phase, looking at some of those existing conditions, we would move to the second phase, which is the Envision Explore, which is public participation, beginning of the process of building consensus. And one of the key things there, what we like to say is it's the ability to listen. We're here to help guide the process. We're not here to drive the process. We're here to help facilitate dialogue, have meaningful discussions, and sometimes we like to say there are no really bad ideas. It's like, let's just get them out on the table and let's talk about them and what some of the possibilities might be. So the real goal in the envision stage is to really broaden the cone, if you will, of possibilities and really make sure that everything's being looked at and look at the opportunities. Are there some additional conflicts that came up in that process? And then take all the preliminary conceptual planning work that's been done to date and kind of what I call ground it. Make sure that everything works with what you folks are trying to accomplish. And then once we have all that determined, move through to the refinement stage where we start looking at determining some phasing, looking at the budgetary considerations, refining conceptual planning and sketches. And I think the thing that you're really looking at is really the creation of a place, not necessarily design. And a lot of that, when it comes to park and recreation work, we feel that the form supports the function. So I think as we go through that envision stage, determine what elements people want in the park and how to best interface with the waterfront, then we can refine that and as we go through the design stage. And then the last stage is enact, basically wrap up all this thought process into concrete actions, a concrete blueprint, and a concrete milestone schedule and a budget on where you want to go. But that's just kind of briefly our process. Again, a lot of this is already highlighted. I can figure out how to unshare.
I was able to stop the share for you.
You were able to stop? Oh, awesome.
Great.
Again, that's a little bit about us. Like I said, we feel that we bring a good balance. Park and recreation work and experience with the DNR is right kind of in our wheelhouse. As I had mentioned, the number of communities that we're working with. Right now, we've currently got probably 4 or 5 active projects with the trust fund in Passport and Land and Water Conservation. We've also got a couple with the Waterways Division. So again, it's something that we feel like we bring a good balance to. So I'll open it up, and if you have any questions, feel free to fire away.
All right, thank you, Ray. Are there anyone that has any questions at this time? Not seeing any questions at this time. I think what we'll do is we'll go and we'll hear from the next applicant, and we may come back to you with questions. Okay, Rick?
Awesome.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much.
Next
Okay,
applicant.
so the next one is Johnson Hill, and that would be Mark Robinson.
Okay. Mark, I'll get you here in a second. Mark, you have been panelist. There you go. How are you
Good
today?
evening.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name's Mark Robinson with Johnson Hill Land Ethics Studio. I'm in Ann Arbor, Washtenaw County, Michigan. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this evening. As requested, I will keep it brief. The committee gave me more than enough time when I spoke with them, so I feel like I got to make it up a little bit on this end. I have 4 basic points with some subpoints to make to you this evening, and I'll make them as succinctly as I possibly can. One, and I'm sure it's like all the firms that you're talking to, we have plenty of experience with townships and municipalities to design public parks, recreation areas, conservation areas, and trail systems, sometimes for master plans, sometimes for construction drawings and construction, and sometimes for both. Johnson Hill is a relatively small firm, but we have over 120 parks, conservation areas, trail systems, and recreation areas as part of our background. So we have done this, and we have done it well for quite a few years. Second point, we know enough to know that we don't know it all. We make a point of really listening to whom we're working with and understanding their perspective. And I think with your community and I'll wrap up with this point at the end, but with the new experience of your first park, it's extremely important that that's what we do before we start talking and responding. When we do respond, we want to respond thoughtfully and thoroughly to what we're hearing and where you want to go and how best to get there. It's always fun to us, and truth is, no matter how many times you've done this, all projects are a little different, and yours is no exception. We need to be open to new circumstances, to new conditions, values, financial resources, and opportunities, just to name a few. We expect that in spades in this situation. Just because it is new, there are challenges. We do have a roadway that separates the lake and the waterfront from the rest of the park. You do have, the situation of a brand new project, learning as you go. All these factors will be important in how we negotiate and help you manage this process as well as get it done for you in regard to our role in this process. We do have, the third point is we do have experience where you need it. We are thoroughly grounded in solid process. And I don't have something I will show you in that regard, but simply to say when you have over 120 projects under your belt, you don't do that by winging it. We do understand how to really put such a process together. But we're also flexible enough and good enough at it that we adapt that to the circumstances within your own community. We work effectively with the public. We enjoy it. We don't cut any corners, and we are fully prepared to build on the relationships you've already established over the time leading up to this point in the process to acquire and develop this park. We work effectively with the state at all levels. We work effectively with committees, boards, and commissions. We work effectively to win grants and manage grant programs. And we work effectively to secure permits and plan approvals, including all of the regulatory agencies such as Eagle that will be part of this particular process. We have, from that experience, a sound understanding of what makes a good park. That seems a little bit almost trivial, but it's not. When you spend public funds to get a park constructed, designed and constructed, you want it to be within all the limitations that tend to pop up and present themselves. You want it to be as good a project as it can possibly be. And that's what we always strive for. We take nothing for granted. We've worked on projects, I kid you not, where the budget was $5,000, and we've worked on projects that were $50 million. The point is, they all got the same level of attention, believe it or not. Some took a lot longer, but in terms of paying attention to what was needed and what could be done within those financial frameworks, the process and the endeavor to do the best we could was the same. And finally, we know how to get parks constructed. I'm not really fond of getting involved in park projects that we do a plan and then nothing happens. So I know you want to do, even if it's a little something, you want to get something built at the result of this process. That's the fun part, to be honest with you. And it is the key to your future success. If you don't get it built, it'll be another book on a shelf somewhere, and that will not be what you need to move forward. So we're going to work like crazy to make sure that you get to build something significant enough out of this with the resources that you have that demonstrates to the community the resolve to get this done and the capability to not only get it constructed, but then to manage it properly and move forward and look forward to the next phase of the park's development. Now, that actually leads to my fourth and final point. We can be very patient. You might say in some respects, we're not very good business people because we know it's going to take a little extra time to bring this project to fruition. And that's quite all right. It's actually a privilege to work with a community who has not done this before and help them be successful. So we will be very patient in that process, work with you, take the extra steps, listen a little more closely to make sure that we actually are hearing what you say, living within your means, and helping you move forward successfully. And then finally, just to repeat the point I made just a moment ago, we will be patient and we will take those steps because it's extremely important that this project be done well. It is your first park out of the box, and you need to build public support and confidence so that you can continue to develop the park, manage it properly, and make it something that the community is proud of. If we can be a part of that, we feel very fortunate. We look forward to the opportunity to work with you, and I appreciate the opportunity that you allowed us to speak with you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time. Again, unless anyone has an immediate question. Yes, Mr. Nelson and Mr. Moko. So Mr. Nelson first.
I just had a slight comment. I noticed in the packet that was provided that Johnson Hill and Mark, you had a hand in the Watershed Ridge Park in Oakland. I've actually been to that park. I can testify to its quality. So it's just kind of a surprise to be on there. So I appreciate the fact that you're locally involved in areas like immediately around this community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Moko?
Yeah, I just had a question on part of the packet. This is to Mark, and I'm sorry if I missed it. There was an asterisk next to expertise with funding sources, like MDNR, SEMCOG, all that. It says it comes from the company or the firm you are merging with. And I'm assuming that would be LAP Creative.
Yes, Landscape Architects and Planners, Bob Ford. Johnson Hill has a pretty lengthy resume in that regard as well, although strangely enough, we work with a lot more organizations, municipalities, and townships that have already gotten the grants than we do writing them. So we threw in there, and not just to impress you, we really are merging with Bob, and we're in a sort of an early stage of that. He will be, as we work with the state at the grant process, just because he has even more experience than we do, we will engage him thoroughly in that process. So we wanted to be as armed as we possibly could to make sure that we were giving you the best service in that regard.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you all.
All right. Anyone else, or are we ready to move on to the next applicant? All right, Mark, I will send you back to the queue here. Hang on just a second. All right, and our last finalist is OHM.
Yep, and this would be Chris Ridgert.
Rigert. Oh, there he is. All right, Chris, you've been promoted to a panelist. There you
Good
go.
evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Ken got it right. Jackie almost got it right. It's Rigert.
Sorry, Chris.
That's okay. All right, so I'm apologize in advance. You may hear some dogs in the background, or you may hear an ice cream truck. He's been making the rounds, so I'll do my best to shoot him away. But let me share I have some slides to share with you this evening.
Sure.
And I want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. So let me. All right, can you all see the correct screen, not the presentation screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so much for hearing me this evening. It's a pleasure and honor to be in front of you. I'd like to start actually by congratulating you guys for undertaking this project and recognize Jackie and her team for hearing all 9 of the applicants, herself, Jennifer, Lay, and Cece. That's not a small task. So it takes a lot of perseverance, and the township is well served by your efforts. It's obvious that your team recognizes that the selection of this partner is an important project, and we share that belief with you. So what I've prepared here is some thoughts on our approach to this project and what we bring as OHM. You've selected 3 great firms that are all very capable of delivering a design, but we feel like OHM brings a unique approach, and I'm excited to share it with you this evening. Some of the faces you'll see from our side. I'm not sure if members of the board have met Marcus before. He's the engineer from OHM. I believe has worked with you for quite some time. My name is Chris Rigert. I'm trained as a landscape architect and will be the project manager on this project. Along with ourselves, we have some key staff that will support us that you may see. Vanessa Warren is a Parks and Recreation planner. She's a professor at Michigan State teaching landscape architecture. Don't hold that against her. If you're a Wolverine, she's still okay. Steve Deering is our traffic and transportation engineer. And John DeSlip is our arborist, ecologist, and shoreline engineer. He kind of does everything environmental. He's a jack of all trades himself. So I'd like to start by recognizing what we see as the opportunity for this project, which is not small. We see that through this project and the creation of a signature public space, we have the capability to align how residents may see Northfield Township, how they may see this space, and that this space can create a shared identity throughout the township. And that we truly do believe that engagement is the backbone of a great project, and that through our process, not only can we engage the community, but our intent is to help build communities, so that at the outcome of this, we have a park, but we also have we have ownership and buy-in from residents. That's critical, we feel, to a successful project, and we think Northfield is well positioned to take advantage of that opportunity. A little bit about OHM, if you don't know about us and you've just seen Marcus around. We started as a small office in Detroit on McNichols over 50 years ago in 1962. We've now grown to over 550 employees in 16 offices in 4 states, maybe even 5 at this point. This graphic may not be up to date. So we're growing quite rapidly. And the reason that we've done that is in service to our core mission, which has remained true since the beginning of the firm, which is to advance communities. That's our corporate motto, but it underscores and underpins everything that we do as a firm. So all the capacity that we've added, the expertise we've added, has all stemmed from being able to serve municipalities such as yourself. We are built to serve municipalities that have constituencies. It's our bread and butter. It's something we come to work every day, enjoying what we do. So we are now a full service architecture, engineering, and planning firm, and have all the services you will need for this project in-house. You'll be dealing with. Within our OHM, you'll be dealing with a team that you haven't worked with before, which is what we call the Place Studio. And that stands for Planning, Landscape Architecture, Community, and Environment. This is a studio that's fully integrated within OHM at all levels, but includes planners, landscape architects, and urban designers that are experts in working with the community to develop meaningful and valued legacy spaces within communities. We have a few principles within this studio that I believe speak directly to what Northfield Township is looking for in a project partner. And so I want just a handful of those. And the first is that all the work that we do is built on trust and communication. That's between our team and your team. That's between our collective team and the community. We truly believe that trust and communication is the bedrock for any meaningful project, especially as it extends to engagement. We know that sometimes engagement isn't always, there's disagreements, but that's no reason to shy away from a really robust engagement process and engaging in that critical dialogue with residents, because that's what leads to alignment, to buy-in, and to ownership by the part of the community. One example I'd like to share is a project we just wrapped up in the city of Detroit. We were the lead planner and urban designer on a neighborhood framework plan, which granted is a different example than what we're talking about here, but I think underscores the power of engagement. At the beginning of this project, within the project area, there are 3 very different neighborhoods. This is on the far east side of the city. They're all connected by East Warren, which is a major Main Street corridor. And at the beginning of the project, there were a lot of different opinions about what this street should be, how it should function. And a lot of folks felt like it should become a 4-lane surface highway so that people could blast in and out of the neighborhood as quickly as they could. We recognized the opportunity that this could be a Main Street corridor with that supports small businesses, that promotes pedestrian activity, that promotes connectivity and bikeability. And so through engagement throughout the process, we listened to residents and heard what their needs were from the corridor, and developed a scheme that we felt merged the best future for the neighborhood with the needs of the community. And by the end of the process, you can see down here on the right is the mayor presenting. He had one of the first public meetings we could have after COVID and invited community members. I think we had over 100 community members, and put up a vote for what folks' favorite scheme was. And unanimously, over 100 people unanimously voted for the scheme that we felt was the most innovative and progressive. And I share that as an example of something that we really feel like underscores the power of community engagement and finding the best solution for the community. The second point I'd like to share is that within our work, we elevate the dignity of people and places. Now, what does that mean? That means we see it as a direct extension of engagement and those critical dialogues that we're having, to be able to meet people where they are, listen to their needs, their desires and aspirations, and embed that into the design process, so that we're not designing for design's sake, but we're actually elevating the community's ownership and value of this public space, which is critical. The last point is that our approach is holistic, integrated, and collaborative. We bring design and engineering excellence to everything we do. And this point is everything that's maybe around the design, everything that's going to support this in being successful. That includes economic development, support your downtown. Can it tie into the adjacent development in a meaningful way? It includes cost estimation and construction. Can we align, or we will align the project with your budgets, long-term, short-term, and long. Permitting, we've heard from folks that permitting is going to be an issue. We agree with them that the Road Commission, Eagle, Probably also the rail corridors, because we're looking at snaking some trails to connect some of your community destinations. Critical is we need to align the maintenance and operations capabilities of this park with the township. We would be doing a great disservice if we built the Taj Mahal of parks, but that the township had no capacity to maintain and operate the park. So we need to find alignment there, and it's part of our process. And lastly, environmental concerns. I think water quality and how we interface with the water is really important. And so I think these are the things that we're thinking about as a team. And Jackie, I think we actually flagged some of these as we spoke to you through the process so that we could build our proposal in a way that we felt like met your needs. We're going to work proactively on your behalf to identify roadblocks and overcome those so that we can have as seamless of a project delivery as we can. Am I running long? Am I getting cut off?
Left.
Okay. Like I said, we've got a whole host of capacity in-house, from planning to landscape architecture, transportation, water resource engineering, field support. So we can foreseeably see this and work on your behalf all the way through construction once you've selected a contractor. We can help you with contractor selection. We can help you with construction. So I'll close here with a few points of why we feel like we're a team that's excited and well suited to support you on this. We have a 20-year relationship working with Northfield Township, and you better believe that we're going to bring the same level of quality and attention to this project that we do to the work we've done with you to date, and hopefully we'll continue to do. We are built from the ground up to facilitate and support municipalities on projects of just this type. We have in-house expertise that will lead to success. We even have some past city managers that are on staff that can help provide some guidance, in some of the other elements that may of need for municipalities. Community engagement, we feel like, is really a strong suit of ours, that we bring a robust toolbox and a unique expertise. Of course, design and engineering excellence is in everything that we do. And like I said, we're going to work on your behalf to develop an integrated plan that can overcome roadblocks, and we'll work proactively to identify them as we work through the project. So we are thrilled for you guys that you're undertaking this project. We see it as a generational project that's going to set the course for the township moving forward for the next couple of decades, and be a legacy timeless space. So like I said, we're excited for you. We would love to join you in this effort, and think we'd be a great partner for you through the process. So I think I made it under 10 minutes.
You're good.
I made it, maybe I went 1 minute over, so my apologies, but I'd be glad to entertain some questions from folks.
Thank you, Chris. Is there anyone that has a question for Chris at this point? Yes, Mr. Moko.
Yeah, hey, Chris, thanks for the presentation. In your packet that came with the board, or to the board, for Northfield, it looks like you had worked with a path. Is that what I'm seeing? What could you tell us what you did previously in our township?
With a path in the township, excuse me, let me get out of my PowerPoint here. I cannot, because I believe that was under Marcus. And he's going to be
path, I believe, wasn't it? Jackie?
What was it?
Wasn't it the Barker Road non-motorized path that
Yeah.
OHM did?
So we had 3 engineers, engineering firms on that. One was Boss. One was, I'm trying to think who the second one was.
OHM.
It wasn't OHM. You were the last. And you brought out a number of things that were missed in the design and everything. It was, and to your attribute, OHM really probably saved us out of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
Question from Nate.
You're saying, I'm just trying to get my ducks in a row here. It says in here it was year 2000, Barker Road play path. I mean, that wasn't even a thought back then. So I'm just trying to figure it out. That's all.
It's something I'm happy to follow up with and get some clarification on. Admittedly, that wasn't a project that I worked on.
Okay.
And I think something I can offer is, Marcus has worked with you guys for a number of years. I'm a new face to the township, so There's some learning that I definitely have to do, but I think brings a level of value to come in from the outside, but still have the institutional knowledge to be able to understand what work we have done with you in the past, and what successes we've had.
Yeah, that's what I'd love to know. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Anyone else have any questions, comments? All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Jackie, do you remember? I'm trying to recall back when phase 1 of the Barker Road, because the play path was a different concept. The phase 1 of the Barker Road non-motorized path was
on Main Street, was the Main Street part.
Yeah.
Oh.
Trying to,
It was done like backwards. It was the Main Street to Barker, and then I think it was down by the school, and then it was the middle part. Because the middle part is where we had to acquire the easements.
Yep. I just don't remember how long ago that was. All right.
The third part was in when I was elected, so 2012. It did go on for 10 years, Nate. It went on for a long time.
Well, right. I know.
A lot of issues with it.
Mark Levy Foundation donated to it. I just, you know, I didn't mean to put the guy on the spot, but really, I'd love to know if Northfield, if you've worked with Northfield for so long, homework matters. I'd love to hear it. What you've worked with us on.
Yeah, I think the majority of what they work with us on is, if I'm not mistaken, is with wastewater treatment plant. Not only with Tetra Tech, but they also work with us on other things having to do with the township, looking at the engineering designs, that type of thing. Somebody's building here, that type of thing.
Yeah, they do all of our, they do all hearing reviews.
Well, good deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an important thing as a relation, if we've got a relationship, to me, that matters a lot. So.
Okay.
Did anybody have any questions for any of them before we start?
Not really. I did have a question though. If it would be possible for whoever came the ranking to just have that clarified for the public, for the board and all of that, and how these were ranked and how these 3 were selected above the others, just a simplified version of what was in the pack.
Okay, so I can kind of provide that. So the rankings were based on 3 things. One had to do with the proposal, how well they addressed some of the things that we needed in the RFP. Some of them shined more than others. I can tell you that the ones that were selected did provide a lot of information, especially around grant writing. Those were some of the things that we were looking at, is grant writing, how relevant they were to working with townships or townships our size. How relevant were they in trail planning, their experiences to small communities, and we were also interested in their creative design. So based on that proposal, we based our questions around a lot of this. In the interview process too, we asked them things like, what was your favorite design? What was the favorite thing that you designed as a park? And some of the creativity that they explained things to us on things that mattered to them. And we talked to them of, how do you deal with a difficult community? Because Northfield Township is a difficult community. We have been known to be that. And we didn't sugarcoat it for them. So we asked about those things. How do you work with we wanted to know, how do they work with the public? How do you create buy-in with the public? Because that's really what this is going to be. We have a park and we want people to enjoy it and be part of it and be part of that creation. So what we did is that even though, and I'll explain it to you this way, we did put more emphasis on the proposal initially, but when we went through the interview process, that brought out a lot of who these firms were and what they can do and what they can't do and how they interact with us. So that's why we put more emphasis on the interviews for points. And then the proposals were the next, and then the references. We did also put high points on for the price, but not as high because, and the reason is because each one approached their pricing differently. We realized as soon as we opened packets, we go, oh my gosh, some of these are all over the board. So we realized we really couldn't compare apples to apples in regards to pricing. You have to understand, we're all new at this. They knew we are green. We are green at this. So we only asked what we knew. And there are things that we didn't know. So I don't want people to think that we didn't look at price, but we did not put a heavy weight on price. We had an idea of what the pricing could be, but we did not, we didn't put much emphasis on it. We wanted more to see what the firm could do for us.
It's very important that we focus on quality, in a sense, and not really price is a number, but this park's going to be here for some time, hopefully for quite a long time. We should make sure it's done right. Now, thank you for explaining. I really appreciate that. As someone who's really new to this process myself, like all of us, I guess, it was quite a lot to take in.
Thanks, Josh. I have a couple comments and then Ms. Chick. One, with 4 points separating these three individuals, obviously these firms are phenomenal. These three firms have put together proposals that are respectable in their particular ways. So when I look at 91, 93, 95, I feel almost as if we can't go wrong. But as we weigh through our experiences, the vendor that we're going to be most in line with the vision of what we've talked about over the last 4 years with this parcel. I think it's we're just worth recognizing that the hard work that the subcommittee did in narrowing it down, and the fact that we were able to come out with three very highly qualified testament to the desire to work with our community. I think our community, while it may get a rap of being difficult, I think what it is it's very passionate. I think that's really what it comes down to, is we have a very passionate community about the things that they find important. So it's nice to see the willingness of organizations such as these willing to work with us. So Ms. Chick, I'll call on you now.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the issue of the cost. I agree that it's the vision that we should be most concerned about, and I appreciate the proposals that were presented. They're all very good looking. And we have to understand, because we've been down this road of contracts and developers before, that there's always a contingency with fees. They never are exactly what they propose anyway. And we do have some control over the cost as we move down the process of working with these people. But yeah, I appreciate all of the proposals, and the committee did a great job choosing. So now it's up to us which one we like the best.
It is. Thank you, Ms. Chick. Mr. Nelson?
I just have one more quick question. Once we move forward with this, we're planning on doing a public hearing or something like that, considering what people would want for the park. I think we talked about this, but I forget if we actually set a date for it.
I think it's part of the process of each of the proposals. Am I correct, Ms. Otto?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whoever we select, that will be, each one of them understood that once we made the selection, there would be a kickoff meeting with the board and to have a discussion with the plan, with the Parks and Rec committee and board to discuss, what all the steps would look like. But one of the main steps is to have a public hearing with the public, not only a public hearing, but they're looking at visionary sessions. And some of them talked about having them down at the park, and some of them talked about, still doing it. At that point, we weren't ready to do it face to face, but they would be more than willing to do it that way.
And one last question on the subject of meetings. Would it be possible, maybe, obviously down the road, to consider joint meetings? That way we all can be on the same page when these things are being talked about. Communication is always key with something like this.
I think that's certainly something to consider. One of the other things I'd like to see is that we look at different groups too, not just downtown residents that are around it, but also businesses. Like a meeting with the business entities that are going to be most affected by what's going to come in from a business standpoint. Little different view of things, but impactful just as much. So, and I'm sure that part of that kickoff meeting will help to define those types of groups and segments to speak with. Ms. Zelenak?
So I'd like to thank the presenters. I would like to thank Parks and for all their work, expectation work, recommendation, and a report.
Ms. Zelenak, your internet is cutting out. Can you try stop video and see if your audio is clear?
I had a good internet. So again, I'd like to thank the presenters. I'd like to thank the Parks and Rec. As a board member, I was expecting a recommendation, a specific recommendation out of these three firms. And the reason why, because I know the Parks and Rec spent a lot of time on that, obviously more time than we are at this meeting with three presentations of 10 minutes. So Ms. Otto, is there a firm that has surfaced from the Parks and Rec's perspective, and a reason why that is the case?
So it was always the Parks and Rec board's intent to only provide three recommendations, because we knew that it was the board that would have the final decision. And so they presented the three firms as the Parks and Rec that they thought would meet the qualifications. So I would say at this point, whatever firm that we go with, you would be selecting one of the best.
With that being said, is there anyone on the board that has strong feelings one way or another that would like to put forth a recommendation or have a comment? We'll go with Mr. Nelson, then Ms. Chick, and then Mr. Moko. Comments? Mr. Nelson?
I just, again, being all new to this and trusting that these are all three of these proposals are going to be fairly good. I just have seen the park one of the parks that Johnson Hill and Mark has worked with before. It's quality. It's a good park. And so I'm much more inclined to move with something I'm much more familiar with than what I'm not familiar with. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Ms. Chick, and then Mr. Moco.
Yep, I would like to make a motion to, for the Northfield Township to utilize the services of community park planning, design services with OHM.
Okay, motion by Chick to procure services from OHM. Is there support on that motion?
I can support.
Motion by Chick, support by Otto. Discussion, Mr. Moco?
Well, if we're discussing, are we discussing the motion right now?
We are.
I mean, I'm not trying to throw any dirt on anyone, but I sure as heck would have loved to hear if somebody's worked with our township, they knew what they did with our township, because I heard it from Jackie and Janet, but not from that gentleman. But at the end of the day, the highest scoring proposal is also the lowest price right now. So, I mean, fiscally, throwing it out of the box to pick the most expensive one, that kind of hit me by surprise. But yeah, I can't support this. So
I
that's all
can
got.
share that there were more expensive firms than the three of these.
Not out of the ones I've seen though. You
Lowers.
presented three.
Yeah.
Ms. Chick?
Yep, I would just like to make a comment that OHM has worked with the township and is very familiar with our township. And Marcus is worked with the planning commission for, the OHM's been with us for at least a decade. So they're very familiar with, yeah. So.
Well, their presenter should have done his homework a little bit. That's all. I mean,
It's in the proposal, I think.
All right, Ms. Zelenak and then Ms. Manley.
I will be not voting for OHM. I think Johnson Hill, I've seen some of their work products. I thought their presentation, I like the gentleman tonight, Mark Robinson. As people have said, they had even though the scoring was very close, they had the highest scoring. And right now they do have the lowest cost. So that's who I will be supporting if given the opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Zelenak. Ms. Manley?
Yeah, I just want to thank OHM, and I know we do many projects with them, very familiar with them, and they're probably not my top choice, but I just wanted to, acknowledge the agreement and the good proposal.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. Ms. Manley, will you call the roll?
Yep. Dignan,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
Moco,
no.
Manley, no. Zelenak,
No.
Nelson,
No.
Otto.
Yes.
That fails 4-3.
Motion fails 4-3. Okay, is there another motion? Yes, Ms. Zelenak.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal from Johnson Hill Land Ethics Studio for the design for the planning of our North Village Park.
I'll support.
The motion by Zelenak, supported by Nelson. Discussion on the motion. No discussion. Or Ms. Manley?
I just have, should I add the cost? I seem to lost my cost page, unfortunately.
The cost will probably change because they didn't include all the costs.
So can we, can someone put in, sorry. Oh, here it is over here. No, I have too many papers.
Sorry about that.
So on your proposal, could we just add at the cost of XYZ for now? Please, if someone could give that to me. Like I said,
18,580 as it stands right now. I think, right? Becky?
Yeah, I'd like to make that, amendment for 18,000 as it stands right now.
Okay. Well, then to your motion, Mr. Nelson, would you continue to support it with that dollar figure added?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Otto, did you have a comment in regards to the dollar figure and why it was not apples to apples with what we were looking at otherwise?
Some did not include some things in them because they put to be determined, I think. Johnson Hill did that. So there wasn't full pricing in there, but we felt that it was still warranted to have a high score. I mean, they were given a good score.
Would it be possible? Would it be possible? Sorry, to maybe amend it to a cost not exceeding that of. I still support it.
I would not recommend that.
Right.
Okay.
Because I will let you know it's probably going to cost us more than 18,000.
Okay.
Do you have a thought? Do you have an estimate then, Ms. Otto?
Well, we were thinking not more than 25,000, but with some of these costs, we're as green as anybody else with it. That was our dollar amount.
Okay.
Green.
Okay.
So
all right.
We're just guessing.
So,
and the board would just be guessing too.
Well, I guess my thought is that we put a cost in there, and when they start to exceed that or think they're going to exceed that, they would come back to the board and explain why that would be the case.
Yeah,
and I
that
think
would be a good approach.
Yeah, and I think it's a good discipline to try to put cost when there is a cost related to a decision we make. So for future reference, we can go back and look at the minutes and see that cost.
Ms. Chick?
So I that's why I think there was an issue about not making a decision based on the amount, because it's not set in stone. So to put a cost amount on this motion is going to obligate them to meet that amount. And yes, they can come back, but what if they come back with 18,000 more down the road? So I think we just need to be careful considering the cost if that's our qualifier.
I'm not sure it's a qualifier. I think it's just a good, discipline to have it in a motion that we are going to expend money, so we know what we think we're going to spend. And so we don't lose track. So as we look at the bills and we say, oh, what was that motion? How much was that going to be cost? At least we know that this is what we thought, as opposed to maybe running it, way past it and not recalling, because if it's not in the minutes, it will be difficult to recall. That's just my personal opinion.
I agree, Ms. Zelenak. I'd also like to know where this money is going to come from. We have to decide where that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Mr. Moko, you have a question?
No, I just fiscally looking at the surface, yeah, 18,000, that's a no-brainer, fine, because it's half of what the other ones. I would expect additional costs to get up there with the other quotes also, but those ones also would go up. I mean, I there's nothing in the world right now that's not going up. But Mark said I think it was Mark. Yeah, Mark said some very important things. I mean, he's looking forward to working with a township that's never done this before. I heard that. Looking to be patient, and God knows you'll need patience to work with us. So, he had a couple good points, and he's the most local one. So I want to say to the Parks and Rec Committee and Jackie and everyone else on there, what a great job you guys did. These three finalists all had awesome proposals. I don't think we can go wrong with any one of them. So that's what I got.
Would concur. All right, Ms. Zelenak.
So where would we like to leave the cost at the money that they presented to us? Or do we? Yes, I would say we keep their proposal up. Yeah,
let's keep.
That's what we have in front of us, and then let's see how it goes. I would also like to say I liked his comment about he wants to get things built and it doesn't just stay on the shelf.
Absolutely. So, I got lots of books on the shelves for what plans in this township that never came forward. So it'd be nice to see some structure or some sort of placement on that park property. All right.
So I leave it at the quote that we have.
We have a motion by Zelenak to award the RFP to, what is it?
Johnson Hill Land Ethics Studio.
Johnson Hill Land Ethics Studio, in the amount of $18,500, and that is supported by Mr. If there are no other comments, I will ask Ms. Manley to call the roll.
Moko,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Zelenak,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Manley, yes. So that passes 7-0.
Excellent. Do we want to address, we can address where that 85 is going to come from. I do need to give the controller some guidance on it. But
My recommendation is that we move it into the Parks and Rec budget, so that I think it would be easier tracked if it was there, because then if it was in the general fund under professional fees and separate, that's just my thought, then I think it would be an easier item to track personally.
we can do a general fund transfer to
Mhm.
Parks and Rec, fund it, but it should be tracked through Parks and Rec. I wholeheartedly agree. Is there any
Yeah,
concern?
and I think, yeah, it would, go ahead.
Makes the most sense. It's just easier to track. It's what that money should be used for. Yeah.
Anyone has concerns about that? Yes, Ms. Otto?
No, the only thing I would ask then, if there was any overages or anything, then would it be the Parks and Rec that would have to come back to the board and make a decision or provide the information to the board as to why it went over 18,000? I'm just asking.
I would think this board would work directly with this planner.
That's what I was asking. I didn't know if you were expecting Parks and Rec to manage the funds on this, or because we manage the funds on everything else under the Parks and Rec. So I want to be very clear.
I think that because it's the actual dollars and cents of it, I think that would just add timing to the process. And I don't know that there would necessarily be a cost benefit.
Yeah.
So at this time, we'll go forward with that. All right. Well, with that,
I have a question.
please,
Mr. Dignan. I have a question, Mr. Dignan, and it's referring to your comment, Ms. Otto. So who do you expect to be working directly with this firm?
Are you asking me?
Scheduling the meetings?
Why
am I asking you?
It would be the Parks and Rec.
Because you're,
board.
okay, I just wanted to see, because based on it, you said they weren't going to track the cost, so I was confused, so I was getting clarification.
No, what I was getting clarification is, does the Park and Rec Board have to track the costs?
Oh, okay, no.
If it went over, does the Park and Rec have to come to the board and explain? This needs to be very clear what the responsibility of the Park and Rec Board is in this.
Okay, got it. I agree. So I was slightly confused on the comment, and then, so yes, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Chick.
So I guess I'm confused. So who on the park, and I think this might be what Ms. Zelenak was asking, who on the Parks and Rec is going to be watching over that money to make sure that it's being used wisely? Is it the whole board gets to make the decision, or one person is going to manage it? Because that's a lot of money for a volunteer.
Yeah, it is. So it could either go back to the subcommittee to manage, or it could go to the board. Normally what they do now at the board meetings is they go through all the financial information that's provided from a vet to make sure that they are staying in their budgets.
Yeah,
So
I would expect them to do that.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure if that 18,000 went over there, that they will probably do the same, is to make sure that that is managed. And I didn't know if they would be responsible for it, or if it's directly from the board that it would come from. So that's what I'm asking.
Okay, do they have accounting experience, like financial and budget experience? Anyone in particular?
Would it be unreasonable to simply ask that the folks who are doing this project for us, that we've just awarded this contract to, provide a monthly report to the Board of Trustees, and we, along with our administrators,
There you go.
practice. This is our, this is a bigger project. The Parks and Rec should be managing the public input and the process of moving this project forward. The financial dollars, I think, should be managed by us and by our chief administrators when we put a chief administrator in place, once we have a township manager. But I don't think that, I think you're bogging down Parks and Rec, asking them to track pennies and dollars.
Yeah, we're only a volunteer, we're only a volunteer committee, board. So that's why I'm asking.
I agree.
I think that's
making responsibilities.
Yep. So when we should see these bills coming in on a monthly basis. Ms. Zelenak?
I think you make a very good point, Mr. Dignan, about that, as well as that's why if we put it in the Parks and Rec budget, as opposed to in the general fund, it should be very visible, and that's what we want. So I think that will help tracking it and ensuring, and we could make sure, since it is a new firm, that we do what we do with the attorney bills, is that they give us the bills and it's, separated in the packet so we don't have to go find them.
Correct. All right, I will make sure to inform of that, of the dollar allocation. And Ms. Otto, you have another question or comment?
Yeah, so one comment was made is where we're going to find this money from. Part of the grant that was submitted for DNR, and we know we haven't gotten it yet, there is a percentage of funds that could cover this cost. So they will allow a percentage of engineering to cover this cost.
Okay. When do we want to allocate those funds? Do we want to have her allocate those funds in the 2019-2020 fiscal year, or 2020-2021 fiscal year? Because she is going to propose amendments to our budget next Tuesday. And that money, where do we want it budgeted? Yes, Ms. Zelenak?
So it would be my recommendation is that it be like a first budget amendment that we make to the 21-22 budget.
Yeah.
Because it's my understanding what Ms. Starbuck is doing with the amendments that she's proposing at our next meeting is to finalize the 2021, and these expenditures have not occurred, and they will occur in our next budget. So I would recommend that when we make their first budget amendment for the 21-22, that be put in there. That's my thought.
I think that's probably a good idea. Yes, Ms. Chick and then Ms. Otto.
So that's a good question. When will this process start? I mean, we're going to vote on this, and or we vote on it, and when are they going to start the process?
Well, we can ask them. Yes, Ms. Otto.
Well, we probably have to go through a contract and get that together. That will probably take several weeks to go through that contract period. And then once that is complete, then we would start that process. That we'll have to engage in a contract with them. They will probably have a kickoff meeting with us or some type of meeting with us to discuss this. And I don't know if we would do it with the attorney, Ken, to discuss the contract and the proposals on this and what would be included in the contract. I would expect that they would draft it and we would review it. That's how I would expect it.
If there's no objection from the board, can I ask Mr. Robinson since
Yeah.
he's still with. All right, let me promote him to panelist. Mark, how are you? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. So on the question of the contract, would that be something that you folks would draft up in quick time and get it to us so that we can review it and get it to our attorney?
Yes. That would be, we'll probably use for this a standard form American Society of Landscape Architectural contract, which is very much like a architect's contract with a little less boilerplate than the architect. And we typically for a project of this size, we use a simplified version, so that further reduces all the gobbledygook in there. So that would be what I'd recommend. It protects both us and you. It's a very balanced contract, so I favor that considerably. I want to just quickly say, we're going to do everything we can to keep this budget as close to the initial price as possible. The only reason there's some question mark there is within your own request for proposal, and I understand that why you didn't know, because you don't know how much money you have, is how much you might actually build. So we didn't quite know if we're bidding on soup or nuts. And, if you have $50,000 to build something, if somebody comes up and says, hey, I got $100,000 more to build it, well, then you might want to build a lot more, and that would probably mean additional work. So instead of trying to guess at that, we're going to try to stay as modest as we can, live within your means, and I'd like to talk about that right at the very beginning. So what I don't like, and I'm sure you wouldn't like, is a surprise 2/3 of the way or 4/5 of the way through this thing and say, oh, we need extra money. I don't like doing that. Our firm doesn't like doing that. And so we're going to work with you right up front, talk about it, keep track of it. And so that if we have to come back and the scope is bigger, and by that I mean if your budget is really bigger than we anticipated, we can make adjustment, but we're not going to go hog wild on this thing.
All right, Mr. Robinson, if I could ask of you then to get in contact with Miss Otto or myself as you pull the contract together, and we will facilitate getting it to our attorney and scheduling a time that, if necessary, to meet as a group with you in order to execute and get things forward. Certainly, we want to do this without haste and start to get engagement going as soon as we can. So
I'll be glad to do that and put a press on it.
All right. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate it, and congratulations again.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Take care. All right. Are we ready to move on to the next item on our agenda? All right. Next item on the agenda, I'll make a motion to approve end of fiscal year payments of open bills with an expected check run of June 29th, 2021 for a total of $43,630.27 from all funds in the Municipal Investment Fund, MIF account, and $9,186.19 from the 2020 Wastewater Treatment Plant Construction Fund.
I'll support.
Okay, motion by Digna, supported by Nelson, to pay your fiscal year bills. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Manley, will you call the roll?
Zelenak,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
Dignan,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Otto,
Yes.
Moko,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
7-0.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the consideration of planning and zoning administrator job description and job posting. That was in your packet from the Personnel Committee. I do have some comments in regards to this job description. I would like to see us change the educational requirements on the job description so that it is more in lines with removing the master's degree desired or preferred. I would like that removed. And I would like added at some point is that a professional planning certificate from the AICP is preferred, or eligibility for such certification with intent to become certified. I think that many times you will get someone who has a bachelor's degree with some experience and a proper certification. And I don't want them to feel discouraged because they feel like we prefer a candidate with a master's degree, where someone who has a master's degree, just because it's not required or preferred doesn't mean they're not going to apply. I think that
I'll support that, Ken, in a heartbeat.
I mean, those are my thoughts on that. I think it's important. Yes, Miss Otto and then Miss Chick.
So what was the certification?
It's a planning certification from the AICP, the American Institute of Certified Planners. And either it's preferred they have it or that they are eligible for such a certificate with the intent to become certified.
Okay.
I think that carries a tremendous amount of credibility in the field. But otherwise, I am all in favor of us moving forward with posting this position. Yes, Ms. Chick?
Yeah, I had a couple of comments and questions under, it says response to public requests. When we're talking about public requests, we're talking about in public requests. They charge for emails and answering phone calls and stuff like that. And I don't want like them to get 100 phone calls from the public and charging the township for it. So they can respond in public, or are we saying it's okay to email or call?
This is an employee of the township, Ms. Chair.
This is an employee of a township.
Yes.
That wouldn't charge us for calls.
I'm sorry?
They would.
They wouldn't charge us for calls. This is an employee of the township.
And their job would be to respond to public questions in regards to planning and zoning and.
Well, that's my question. It says public request. Does that mean the public's request or public request?
Anyone that comes in with a building department request. I mean, this is the director of, this would be a person in charge of the building department.
Okay, I guess I'm reading it differently than y'all are, but that's okay.
I would say anybody calling in that has a question regarding planning, building department.
Okay, then to make me feel better, can you just add response to the public's request?
Okay.
Okay. All right, and under experience and qualifications, I would like to add a couple of things. I have a question as well. On minimum of 3 years, I would like current experience. And I'd like to see as a principal planner in there somewhere. I'm not comfortable with someone just getting out of school and this would be their first attempt at a job as a planner. We've had experience with people that are new to the field and it's never been good. So if they have experience as a principal planner, I think it would benefit the township more, especially considering they will be our only planner, so in-house.
So current experience in planning.
As a principal planner.
Planning and zoning. As a principal.
No, hang on. Minimum of 3 years, current experience as principal planner related to planning and zoning.
I think you're asking a lot with finding a principal planner coming in at this salary. Someone who's had experience in a township. I mean, I don't think it exists.
Green Oak, I know a lot of planners. Green Oak's planner gets $60,000 and she's a principal planner. So
For how long?
He's part-time too.
Yes.
And if that-
No, she's planning and zoning. Also, what is progressively responsible? What does that mean?
What the intent was there is they continue to become more knowledgeable about the township, they'll take on more responsibility.
Makes sense. You're
I think that needs to
responsible.
get reworded.
Yeah, it doesn't, I don't, it,
Well,
yeah.
well,
Could be progressive
you can either tell
responsibility.
her, work. Yeah,
Well,
just
it's
tell us what you
your-
want. This is just our,
This is a draft.
Okay, I'm just asking what it means. What does it
well,
mean? Progressively responsible.
Your responsibilities will progress as your experience dictates.
That's good. If we can put something a little, just those two words, don't say what it means.
we can take it out.
But
You
that
can
would
take
work.
it out if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Already took it out.
Let's just remove it.
Thank you.
Hang on.
Yeah, let's just remove it.
Miss Manley and then back.
So I Googled progressively responsible. It says refers to tasks, job duties, or roles that demonstrate growth and or advancement in complexity, difficulty, or level of responsibility.
okay,
That's
can we put that
really
in
what
there?
That's progressively responsible.
Okay, can we put that explanation, take out progressively responsible and put in something similar to what you just said? So that it's more
Wow.
clear.
That,
Just take it out.
I'll
Well,
take it out.
How about demonstrates growth?
No, just take it out.
Growth is
If
a
if they
bad
can
word.
meet, if they meet everything except that, I'll be quite happy.
Okay,
And it's up to us to make sure that they're being responsible.
Yeah, so just take it out. So just a little background that Ms. Otto didn't provide, just to see how we came up with that, is this Ms. Otto and I met and we had 4 different job descriptions from, one was from Howe, one was from Hamburg, one was from East Lansing, and one was from Alpena. We went to the Michigan planning site, and those seem to be the 4. I mean, they have probably hundreds of planner and zoning administrators. Hundreds might be an exaggeration, 50 or 60 of them. And looking at, considering our township, and that we pulled out those 4 and kind of merged them together, that we thought would be a good, what we were looking for. So we took a little bit of all of 4 of those, but that's how we came up with it. And so, and this is just a, you know, our proposal based on that. So we have a document, and we are certainly, whatever anybody wants to change, we're up for that.
yeah, no, it's just pretty standard from what I've seen when looking for planners, even if you just Google, you know, the qualifications.
And that's how we came up with the salary. Basically, we
Yeah.
took the 4 of them and divided by 4 and said, this is kind of the average from the
There you
start
go.
to the finish.
So our
Yeah.
in-house planner is going to be full-time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we're
There you
considering.
go.
I mean, I guess I'd like a little wider range. I wouldn't mind a 60 to 85, but that's just me.
Yeah, we could do that too. I mean, I'm fine with that. I think
Drop it to
Ms. Otto
60.
and I were kind of debating the range, but
You know, just a little broader, little less. It doesn't hurt. You know,
I
mean,
think
we-
broad is fine, but I think we really need to figure out, is it part-time with the potential for full-time, or, I mean, Green Oak, that's fine if that's part-time, but you got to have it out there. I mean, if it's part-time with benefits, without benefit, I don't know. We got to really narrow it
no,
down.
it's a full-time employment status.
With benefits.
Sorry, the recommendation is that it be full-time
Okay.
and that they work Monday through Friday as the office is open, and they'll attend meetings as necessary. And the salary range, again, our proposal is 65,000 to 80,000, and being full-time, you will be eligible for benefits.
So the four jobs, the 4 jobs we compared it to at Alpena, Green Oak, wherever, and the other place. Are those all full-time also?
They were.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
So under salary, could you do 60 to 80,000 plus benefits based on experience?
Sure.
I mean, with that being said, with the few changes we've made, I'm in favor of putting forth a motion to post this position.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion to post the position of, let me make sure I get your guys' terminology exactly. Planning and Northfield Township's planning administrator. Let me rephrase that. I'd like to make a motion to instruct staff to post the position of planning and zoning administrator with a salary range of $60,000 to $80,000 plus benefits based on experience.
I'll support.
Motion by Dignan, supported by Chick. Any discussion on the motion?
Finally.
Yes. Moko?
One more dumb question, I suppose. If we hire an internal planner, does that mean we are getting rid of our third-party planner? Just wanted to verify that's the case.
Still have to have a larger
Not fully.
plan for projects that are beyond the scope of what an in-house planner can have, but the roles and responsibilities of our current planner would drastically change. So,
I just wanted to, I didn't hear anything about that mentioned. Maybe I missed it, but I just wanted to be sure that's the case. And you got my support. We'd probably spend this with McKenna in no time flat. So, or whoever.
Right, with no further
I'll
questions.
support.
Ms. Manley, I'm sorry, Ms. Zelenak, go ahead.
So and that's a good point, Mr. Moko, is that the train and I are maybe competing. Would be still have to have a in-house planner for the major projects. But just my observation of being in the township is people are coming and asking questions, and I think having somebody there will certainly facilitate people getting their projects done quicker, as opposed to having to do emails and not being able to talk to people or not having someone present. So I think it will be a really good benefit to the community, benefit to the people that want to invest our community, from houses to development of major projects. And so I think it would be very beneficial. So we'll find out.
I concur with Ms. Zelenak. I would certainly say that Ms. Krishnan has done the best job she possibly could do, and has really tried to do everything she can to accommodate. But the reality is we have her 2 days a week, and
Right.
and that's it. It's very short time. So Ms. Manley?
Just question, where are we going to post this? And I know Jackie and I talked for a minute. I think it was Howell that had like the really nice presentation put together.
Right.
Are you try to do anything like that, or where do we plan to post this?
We could pretty up a little bit.
Okay.
Well,
Get it posted.
With that being said, real quick, Jeff Mueller happened to be in town. If you don't know who he is the gentleman that is going to be helping to facilitate our MML search for our township manager. He happened to be in town going down 23 today and pulled off. So we had a quick chat about him. And next, on the 6th, we're going to be putting together a profile on our community. So we certainly could utilize, I think, the work product of that profile with our job posting. But I do know that Jennifer, the admin to the township manager, has a plethora of places that these jobs get posted. And I would assume that they would be posted in those regular places that she's aware of, as well as with the Michigan Municipal League and the Township MTA and other professional magazines, or, they're not magazines anymore, websites. So that's what I would assume. Yes, Ms. Zelenak?
Do you have a list of suggestions, Ms. Manley, that you would like us? I mean, Mr. Dignan just indicated the ones that we usually post.
Yeah, I was going to say the normal ones. I think MML is an important one.
Yep.
I agree. And honestly, let's leverage the MML relationship. We're going to start to build with them and say, hey, we've got this position. If you know of anybody, you send them our way, right?
Sure.
Why not? We're having that conversation anyway. Miss Chick?
So just, yeah, go ahead.
The Michigan Association of Planners might have job posting ability as well.
They do.
Okay, so that would be a good place to look. And I do want to say that it's about time that we got an in-house planner. And I more than appreciate Vidya for all of the things that she's done for this township. It's been excellent, excellent. Can't thank her enough. Mhm.
Yep. Okay, Ms. Zelenak, then Ms. Otto.
I was just going to comment based on our proposal is that we're recommending we start posting it July 1st through the end of July.
I think that's a great idea. I think we amend it after we get a community profile together and repost it.
Okay, good enough. I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Get it out there July 1, as it is, and go from there. All right, Miss Otto, and then if we don't have any questions, we'll go ahead.
I think another good area would be LinkedIn. While these other areas do provide something from Michigan, we can also pull from outside of Michigan too, if we need to.
I agree. All right, Mr. Moko.
We post on Indeed where every other job in the world posts on, or do we not post on there?
We could.
I would say for some positions you post on Indeed. For some other positions you don't.
Oh, township planner is pretty specific. You're not gonna. I just.
I'm in potentially Glassdoor. I know Glassdoor is used by a lot more younger people like me nowadays. So I think Indeed and Glassdoor and LinkedIn are probably all. I mean, posting at more places means we just get more responses. So
it's pretty easy to weed out on Indeed. I mean, it's
on Indeed. Right now, how the city of Howell has a community development director that they're looking for. Canton is looking for a planner to municipal services department. So, hey, if why not? I mean, if they're out there, I mean, obviously these guys wouldn't be posting there if they're finding people everywhere else.
Do we have official Northfield Township profiles for hiring on Indeed and the like? And if we don't, who would we have set those up?
We do not, but Jennifer would be the one to set those up, and I will have a conversation with her about that. We may have a profile. I don't know if Mr. Wagner knows if we do or not. I just know that. Yes, Miss Otto might know.
We do have one when we did the township manager position.
Okay.
We have a profile of the township. And what she could do is just update it because it could have been, it's several years old. She could just update it.
Yep. Mr. Wagner, do you guys post positions out there on Indeed?
We do. We have used Indeed several times for the police department, for our administrative assistants, and for part-time officers, and it's worked pretty well for us. It's a little pricey, but
has Jennifer been the one to do those postings for you?
No, I believe we did that ourselves.
Okay.
But
all right.
I could be wrong, but I don't believe Jennifer did those for us.
All right. Well, we can figure that out. I will write that down on my tasks. So, all right. With that being said, we have a motion on the table. Ms. Zelenak, question?
I just would like to let we have posted other positions on Indeed. Usually we start with the MML, MMTA, and Michigan. Time would be the Michigan Planning positions, and maybe not so much. Maybe for this one being a little more like a director type, that we get a lot of frivolous applications. That you could have 90 of them that you have no qualifications at all, and so that can be burdensome just to flip them out. But we do use it. We usually start with more of the professional organizations, and within a week or so, if we get applications, then we'll move to the Indeed. I personally have not heard about Glassdoor, and as well as LinkedIn. I've heard that one, and then we kind of move. Like the first week, we're trying to see if we can get some more from what we would think Township Association professional, and then move to the other ones if necessary. That's what we've done in the past.
Okay.
But she's definitely familiar with LinkedIn. I mean, Indeed. Jennifer is.
Mr. Moko.
Throw it out there on Indeed. Times have changed. You're not getting the apps you used to. So unless something changes, you're not getting the
Okay.
apps like you used to. So
Okay.
I say cast a wide net and see if we catch anything.
Okay.
And I think
And it can't hurt.
at 60 to 80, we're probably hitting the right spot, because that planner 2 of Municipal Services Department in Canton is 72 to 93. And that's a planner level 2 with Canton, and Canton is, so we're probably in the right ballpark. I think.
Yeah, Canton's huge, so they probably have a lot more planning than we do.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, I'm going to ask Miss Manley to call the roll.
Degnan,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Otto,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
Zelenak,
Yes.
Moko.
Yes.
That passes 7-0.
Right. Next item on the agenda is new business discussion item. It says that it's a discussion of the North Village marketing plans for park improvements and future tax liability. I think we kind of covered this to some extent with the park plans for the park improvement. We're going to be doing them with the park planner. Marketing, I'm not sure. Did this come from you, Janet, or did she also? I think this was also taken off the board of future agenda ideas and concepts. And I know that the tax liability is a question. Go ahead, Ms. Chick.
Yeah, I think I sent something to Jennifer because at the last board meeting, we said we were going to have a discussion of the back part of the North Village area. And what we were going to do with that, and as far as moving ahead with Livonia Builders to find out, what their interest is, and if we've been kicking this can down the road since 2015 about developing in park, and we've been dealing with Livonia Builders for a couple of years now, and we're still nowhere with them. We've had a purchase agreement that sat out there and nothing happened with it. So I think we need to. I'm not going to say what I was thinking, but either move or get off the pot, right? But we have to do something. So my thought was go to Livonia Builders, say, give us a serious purchase agreement offer, and if we don't like it, then we move on to somebody else. But we need to do something because we're just kind of just sitting out there holding our breath doing nothing.
That is fair enough. He has asked us for a price per acre.
Okay. So did we give him one?
We have,
We have not yet given him one today. We gave him one a long time ago.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that have changed since then. Miss Otto?
well, that's what I was going to say is that since we gave him one a long time ago, does the price change? And if he's coming back to us saying, what is your price? Then I take it that the price has changed. So we can counter offer with the price. And is it at the board's level that we do that? I mean, I know we gave you the opportunity to negotiate it, or do we just let you negotiate it?
Well, I'm happy to do that. Been a little hesitant. I believe that we should recognize the fact that what we did tonight adds value to that land. Just in moving forward to that adds value to that land and makes it worth more. I believe that the valuation we had when we had an appraisal done is what I would consider to be a low but acceptable number per acre. But I think it's low at $50,000 an acre. So, I mean, that's
And then
kind of.
my next question had to do with the tax the future tax assessment, it should be future tax liability. That had to do with, because under the DNR grant that we applied for, they are asking us, because we made the application for the grant on the 11.3 acres, they are asking us for a new deed. And that deed they're asking for, as you know, before October 1st. We have that as the deadline. So that was the question that was posed at the last meeting, was having to do with, once we do that deed, what happens to the other part of the land? Does our assessor say that it is still in the public's interest, or does now because we redefined the property, does that change? So that's what I would like to know from Tom.
And we're redefining the property for the purposes of a DNR grant. The purpose, the until we change the intended use of that property through an action with Livonia Builders, the use of that property is a trail that is connected to an area we have designated as a park. And he has not indicated any intent to me, and I don't know if he has to anyone else. I know Ms. Zelenak has some conversations with him as well in regards to subjects similar to this, but there's any intent to levy that property as taxable property. 75 Barker Road was taxable when you had a rental property in 75 Barker Road. Now that you don't have a rental property in 75 Barker Road, it's not taxable. That's what he told, because we're using it for the public good. But now we're selling it, and that'll become, but the parking will be non-taxable. So, yes, Miss Manley, and then Miss Otto.
If it's still for public use, then that shouldn't affect anything until we do sell it.
Depends on what we define as our intent. That's what he has said. But our intent is to make a preserve behind our public safety building. Because our intent is to make a preserve back there, that intent doesn't change. That area back there is designated as non-taxable parcels of property because its intent is to make it a park. We have a plan. We've defined a plan. We're actually currently using it. That's another area. Yes, Miss Otto, and then Miss Chick.
So based on that intent, and I'm going to go back to it because I would like to have this very clear, and I'm not trying to open up a Pandora's box. I just think that our township, I don't want it to bite us in the behind down the road, because we did not look into this further. When we divide the property, and the one area that's 11.3 acres is now becoming the intent of the park, and the other property now is being considered intent to sell, does that change? And that's all I'm asking.
Is it up for sale, or is it being used as a trail right now?
We've had it up for sale.
Okay, where's the contract?
We have a letter of intent, don't we? From Livonia Builders?
Well, we did.
And
I don't know.
it's still in effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're using it as a park. We're using it as a trail.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, once that deed is
Township
done, so that's what so I guess I'm going to have that conversation with Tom, because I think here, I think you guys want to hear what you want to hear. I think the question really needs to be asked to Tom, once it's divided, what happens? And that's all I'm asking. I'm not trying to create problems. I really just want to know what happens. And if Tom says nothing happens, then nothing happens. And that is disclosed from Tom to the board.
Yeah, it's how are you using it is the next question that'll come out of his mouth. Do you have a letter of, do you have a signed buyer's order or signed buyer's agreement? We don't.
We have a purchase agreement that was.
We have a
given to
purchase
us, but it
agreement.
was not signed off on.
It was not
Yeah.
signed off on. We don't have a
Yeah.
purchase.
Okay, all right, but see, we're getting intent and use. One person is saying intent, and the other person is saying how we're
Right.
using it. Okay, that property is zoned mixed use. The intent from 2015, and we do have that documented, I have it in my cell phone if y'all want to see it, is that it was intended to be part park, part development, and part commercial. So that is the intent. How we're using it is just because we haven't sold it yet, but it has been up for sale.
How is the township using it? Are we using it for community benefit? Yes, we are. Are we
Well,
using
we
it?
are, but
Okay,
once we start developing, once we get the deed on the 11.3 acres, it's now defined. And that part that's going to be developed for the community.
Okay, so we need to move on the other half, because like I said, this has been going on for so many years.
Right.
Let's make a decision. Let's do something about it. And so we can get this off our plate and stop talking about it. So,
Livonia Builders indicated that it'll be 2 to 3 years before they would even do anything with the property if
That's
they were to.
fine.
That's fine.
But let's get something established so that we can do more.
And if it's not Livonia Builders, then
It's somebody else, and
we
somebody
get
else,
somebody else.
somebody may be
Question.
able to do it in a year.
You're asking two totally separate questions.
Okay,
So if a property is owned by the township,
yeah. Sorry.
how are we using it while we are in ownership of the property? If we are using it for community benefit, it is not taxable.
Okay,
But you said that it was the intent. So,
Until the time that you do not use it as a community benefit, or like you lease it, or you build on it and rent it out, or you sell it, that's when it changes.
okay, but that addresses the tax liability issue.
Correct.
Addressing the other part. When are we going to move on the other part?
so I'd like to make a motion for Mr. Dignan to go to Livonia Builders, ask them for a serious, I don't know, bid on the
Offer.
property, offer on the property, that we can consider. And have
Okay.
that within 30 days.
I asked him that, he said $10,000 an acre.
I want it in writing. Let's get something back.
Okay, I'll ask for him in writing.
All right, I'm making that motion.
I'll support.
Motion by Chick, supported by Otto. To request in writing a written offer from Livonia Builders.
Yep. And if they come back with a silly price, then we just move ahead with somebody else.
I would like to make an amendment,
Okay,
motion to amend the current motion to include a planned timeline for development if an offer is extended.
I agree. I'll support.
All right, so there's a amendment by Dignan, supported by Chick, to request that the timeline for development be included with any offer if Livonia Builders intends to indeed provide such an offer. All right,
Thank you.
discussion. Mr. Moko?
How in the world can you get an offer on a property? And I want to see this move forward as much as anyone. It's not split yet. I mean, don't we have to split it to park and what we're using as a current park before we can sell it? I mean, who in their right mind is going to make an offer unless it is just a per acre offer and it doesn't matter to him how many acres and all that? To me, it doesn't make any sense. It needs to be delineated.
We did.
I just don't.
We did, we made that
Boundaries,
motion.
We made a motion, but is it on a deed? Is it on? I don't know how. I mean, I'm no real estate expert, but
It's in the process of being put into a deed.
Yeah.
And
shouldn't we wait till that time? Shouldn't we wait till then, or you do it right now on a proposed future deed that's going to happen?
This would be an offer in writing with contingencies and understanding. Yeah, I mean, it certainly, like I said, none of this is new. We've had discussions. We have looked at ways and avenues of addressing the park area and where it is. The board's made its decision on where the park area is. You know, we benefit as a township by that delineation, and there is some opportunity for him to save on his development costs with where he puts things. So certainly, I think that we're in a position where he certainly could. And I'm gonna let him know. We want to know where he's at with it. I'll actually get a letter out to him today. So, all right. Yes, Mr. Moko.
I'll support that 110%. And if the offers is not within reason that we can accept, then I suggest we get a for sale sign up there ASAP and see who's out there. You know, there's developments happening in this township, so we should be able to find a buyer.
And we should get it out on LoopNet for sure. And we can get it in just about anywhere. So, all right. Yes, Ms. Zelenak.
So I'm going to be voting no on this. I've been for years struggling if we should sell it. I personally think until you build a park and you get that property value is only going to go up. And I think it's short-sighted to have to do it right away. I don't think we need it at this point in time. So I will be voting no going forward.
All right. So unless there's any further discussion, I'm going to first call for a vote on the amendment. Ms. Manley, will you call the roll, please?
Yep. Nelson,
Yes.
Moko,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Dignan,
Yes.
Zelenak,
No.
6-1 on the amendment.
Okay. Now I'd like to call the question on the motion. Ms. Manley, will you call the roll?
Yep. Dignan,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Otto,
Yes.
Zelenak,
No.
Chick,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Moko.
Yes.
That passes 6-1.
Okay. We'll get a letter to Livonia Builders. Like I said, I'll send it off tonight to Mr. Fink to put in a formal request, and we'll get it over to him.
Thank you.
Announcements are special meeting is scheduled for June 29th. The only thing we're going to be addressing that night is our final budget amendments. That should be a pretty quick meeting. Just so everyone understands, the reason for that is we're waiting for all of the possible bills we can get in the fiscal year to be in. And then that'll come to us. And then July 6th, we have a special meeting. It's a presentation by MML where we will be discussing the township manager community profile and board goals and objectives in hiring a township manager. Because that is a special meeting, we will address it with one call to the public at the end of the meeting. And there will be no business transacted that day of township, just so you know. Next is petitions and communications from the public. If there's anyone from the public that would like to address the board at this time, if you raise your hand, we will call on you and give you an opportunity to address the board. Give you just another moment, see if there's anyone with a raised hand. This time I do not see any hands raised. We'll move on. Any board member comments? I'll go around the board. Ms. Manley, anything?
Nope.
Ms. Otto?
No, the only thing I wanted to bring up for board member comments is to thank each one of the firms that submitted their proposal. It was, the time was worth it, going through every bit of it. It was worth it to figure out who is the best match for a township. I will say that out of the three that was provided, any one of the three could have done a great job, and I appreciate each one of them providing their presentation tonight. I also want to let people know that the 4th of July parade will be on July 3rd, and that We have some last minute volunteer needs, but I will get them out on Facebook as I learn more about it.
Thank you, Ms. Otto. Mr. Nelson.
I have no comments for you. You all have a good night.
All right, thank you. Ms. Chick?
Yep, I just wanted to remind everybody, it is the 75th anniversary of the Northfield Township Fire Department. Yep, thank you to Northfield Township Fire Department, and we wear our shirts proudly. Also want to remind people again, people listening and the board, that we need to have a discussion quickly or soon on the American Rescue Plan and how we're going to use those monies, because it's going to be a pretty comprehensive project that we might even have to consider hiring someone to help us through it, because of all the paperwork and the criteria that is necessary to actually file. And I believe we have to file from 60 days after July 6th. So that takes us to September 6th. And we've got several things we can look at. We can look at broadband, which the township needs badly. We need infrastructure that the township needs badly. We have health services that the township needs that we can use the money for. So, start thinking about those things and those projects. And but we have to do something or we'll lose that funding. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Chick. Ms. Zellner? I think we might have lost.
Just a reminder that we're having the 5K, 10K run this weekend. So if you haven't signed up, or I think they're looking for volunteers too, it happens to be the cleanup weekend too, for the township.
We lost Ms. Zellner, so hopefully she'll jump back in. We'll go to Mr. Moko, and then I see Ms. Otto had her hand up too.
Is Lenore back? Does she want to finish?
She's back.
Oh, who knows?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Lenore.
I'd like to see that. Thanks. So I just wanted, I don't know where I stopped with, but the run in the township up is this weekend, the 26th. So bring your stuff, bring your shoes. Yes, I would really like to see us get internet, being one of the people that cannot have internet other than my hotspot on my phone. So I certainly have a vested interest, as many of us out in the rural area do, on that. I'd really like to see us get the fees on the next agenda. Again, and maybe we can work with Mary to get that out there so that we can basically raise them until we get our own building official, because my understanding is they're 85.
Oops.
Yeah, she was expressing that her understanding is that the township is getting charged $85 an hour. Are you there, Ms. Zellner? You are a commercial or media broadband.
My understanding, well, they're charging $85 an hour, and before it was $50 to $60 that we were paying our building inspector. So I think we need to raise our fees so that the building department, if you look at the budget, potentially we need to make sure we cover our cost. I'd like to see that on our next, at least just to address that fee for now.
Right. I do think he's compacting as much work as possible into the hours that he's here. He's here very limited time. So we may be getting much more efficient use of time, so it could be the same cost. So I'm not sure yet, but we'll see where that's at. And I'll try to get that on a next regular agenda. I'll repeat that when she comes back. I will try to get that on our next regular agenda. So that'll be the 13th, I believe. So.
Yep, and I think we should probably, Mr. Dignan, work as far as the personnel committee getting another proposal for getting a building official. I have heard, quite a few complaints from people that it's only on Tuesdays and Thursdays that the inspections occur.
Correct. That is the case.
Yep. So there's a lot of grumbling with people coming into the office.
Yeah. Well,
waiting for their cement to be, different aspects of their building to be inspected.
Pay $250 to have it done on a Friday.
I know.
I know. Find have Thursday if they don't want to have to pay the $250, right?
I mean,
It's I want it tomorrow, but I don't want to pay anymore.
Yeah, no,
So-
time is money though, right? You gotta
Yep.
wait, then everything gets behind. So again, I think it's something that we need to get in-house or available so that, again, we are providing service to our customers and moving the process efficiently through the system.
And
Anyway,
can I
those are my
add to that?
comments. Thank you.
Yeah, as far as not having a building official as well, it's holding up a lot of our ordinance work too. So we need we need a building official.
Thank you.
Yep. I can speak as a one business owner that's trying to renovate a building. That is, but you got to work around Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it is
Right.
what it is.
I just one more comment, Mr. Dignan, before hopefully my internet. I would like to thank all the proposals. I would like to thank the Parks and Recs for getting us to this point and welcome Johnson Hill and Land Ethics to the township and look forward to working with them. It's very exciting. Looking forward to having something built there.
Excellent.
Thank
All
you
right.
for the people to use more so than they currently are able to. Thank you. That does it. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Moko.
I'd like to thank Lenore for being, like Ken said, a perfect commercial for why we need some better internet in this town. I don't know how the hell we made it through I had 4 kids on the internet all day and I can't even get through a meeting hardly, not all day, but when we did virtual for a few minutes this year. I'd like to congratulate Whitmore Lake Public Schools for being the only school in Washtenaw County that started in September and ended in last month. It makes me super proud. Tom DeKaiser did a heck of a job, and all the teachers and everybody involved, and the parents. And anyways, I would like to thank all 3 of the proposals we had. I don't think we could have made a wrong choice. I know I might have seemed a little rough on the one, but I mean, I have expectations when somebody brings a proposal to do your homework. Because I try and do mine. So I expect if someone's looking for a contract with us or another contract, they do theirs. I would, the fireworks and the parade are coming up real soon. I'd like to thank the Kiwanis and Jackie and everybody involved for working so close with the fireworks this year. It's going to be an awesome show. Fireworks are on the 2nd, parade's on the 3rd. If anybody has a group of Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, 4-H, I don't know what group. We're not really specific on that. We need somebody to help us with parking. That's the hardest thing every year. We bring in last year we had just volunteers. It was supposed to be the Girl Scouts, and that went south. But if anybody has a group that wants to, we take donations to park. The fireworks committee would be gladly willing to split some of the parking donations with any group that's looking to help, any family friendly group. So please reach out to me, or you can find my email on the website or my phone number or whatnot. And we would love to help someone as we can help each other. We have the t-shirts for the fireworks, which sold out last year real quick. They are in at Max. They're at Polly's. They're at, I don't even know where they're all at. Heck, I got 100 of them. Reach out to me if you need one. So that's all I got. It's going to be a great, great summer. So looking forward to a lot of progress. Thank you, everybody. That's all I got.
Thanks. I do have a couple things. I do want to take a moment to also sing the accolades of the gem in our community that is our local public school system, Whitmore Lake Public Schools. Not just because I've served on their board in the past, but this year they got to invite folks in from outside our community that have never been here and may never have given Whitmore Lake Public Schools a chance. And what those folks found and have shared with myself and others is they were in awe of what the school system is. The fact that the children and the teachers from day one get to know each other and get, the staff know their child on day two when they forget their lunch. It's just something that, unless you've been here, relationships is a core to what they do there. And I'm proud to say that I had a graduate this year. My daughter graduated from Whitmore Lake, and in cooperation with the Early College Alliance at Eastern Michigan University, my daughter graduated with 60 college credits and will be starting in the fall as a junior at Eastern Michigan University. That was 2 years of free college. It's a pretty awesome opportunity. I invite people every day to come and talk to folks at our school, go on a tour. Heck, I'll bring them on a tour. But, it's important for us to recognize, too, the relationship that needs to exist between the township and our most local school. I say most local because we do have others in the area, Ann Arbor and South Lyon. But Whitmore Lake is the identity of our community. It is. It's what people refer to. We've got the lake, we've got the school. It's Whitmore Lake. We govern as Northfield Township. The folks, when they're asked where they live, most of them say Whitmore Lake. So that relationship is strong. I know Mr. Wagner works hard with schools to keep it strong, and I know each and every one of you have put in your time and efforts and support, and I know it's greatly appreciated by all involved. So with that, I don't have anything else to add other than to thank the three applicants that came forward today. We appreciated their time and energies, and we look forward to working with them. Mr. Wagner, did you have something to add?
I think I'm just going to recap pretty much what everybody else said. Obviously, for a long time, I've been a Whitmore Lake School supporter, continue to be. I graduated there. All three of my kids have done very well. I'm very blessed to be able to say that. As for June 26th, I think Lenore mentioned the 5 and 10K runs start at 8 a.m. So we will have some periodic road closures along Main Street between the middle school and East Shore, just for very short periods of time. It's an open road race, so the roads are open as the runners are out there, and we try to make it as safe as possible. And then along with that, I think somebody mentioned the recycle day at the high school. We'll be going along at the same time. July 2nd is the fireworks. Reminder that we usually close Main Street between North Main and Barker around 8:30, between 8 and 9 o'clock. We usually close that. We gauge it on when traffic gets so heavy and then pedestrians, it just becomes unsafe to keep it open. We work with the fireworks committee to do the parking so that at the end of the night, we clear that parking lot, usually in about 15 or 20 minutes, with the people that are going south park in the back part of the parking area, and the people that are going to be going north go out onto Main Street towards the lake. So we've been pretty good about that lately, as far as I say, clearing that out and opening Main Street up, usually before 11:15 or so. 11, if the fireworks go till 11, it's usually 15-20 minutes we get that opened up. And then the parade on the 3rd, that starts at 10 a.m. So then we start closing Main Street shortly before 10 a.m. And usually that is completed by 11 a.m. So it's exciting to be able to get back to do that this year after missing all of it last year. There's just a sense of excitement in the community for all of the events that are coming up. It is the busiest week and a half for the police and fire departments. And the unusual part about this year is we'll actually all have the 4th off and the 5th off. So, or at least I will. But we won't, have real activities where the police and fire department are committed for those kind of days. So we're looking forward to it. So thank you. Again, we're excited to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the fire department. We do have some shirts out there. I believe all of the board members should have received their shirt today. So we look forward to celebrating that. We got a couple special things that are going to go along with that you'll see at the parade. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Certainly. Ms. Otto.
Yeah, I had a couple of things. So yeah, Bill is being modest, but one of the things that will be at the parade is Chief Wagner will be our Grand Marshal for the parade.
I'm not telling anybody that, just so you know.
I know.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. I did want to say for the recycling day, Jennifer is looking for volunteers. So if you are willing to volunteer for the recycling day on June 26th, please reach out to Jennifer at the office. Two things, Parks and Rec is doing some plantings on the lakefront. They also did some in the back of the property and the park side. There was some question as to if we needed a permit on the lake side, and we did get it in writing from Eagle that we did not need a permit. Also, I wanted to let the board know that there was a grant opportunity that came to us through Consumers Energy Foundation, and that was submitted last week for the park. It is something this is something specific for the park. It's not in addition to the DNR grant. So we will know hopefully by, I think July 5th or 6th, if we will be able to enter in for an application for it. And that amount was up to about $250,000.
Okay. All right. I had two more quick things, but first I have a question for Jackie. The Grand Marshal, or rather the stage is going to be set up at the corner here?
At the corner, they need to have it probably close to the telephone pole.
We'll set
So
up a
they can
space.
tie it up.
Yeah. So at 22 Barker, for those of you that don't know, the old family video space, obviously there won't be parking down here. We'll be closing off the parking lot, but anyone who wants to come and sit in the parking lot to watch the parade off to the side from where the bandstand is going to be, you're welcome to do so. That's why it's here. We'll be handing out water. The Luke Project, or the Luke Clinic, and Living Water Church will be handing out water here for free. So, but I want to invite people down. Also, a question came up in regards to Mr. Gary Dillon's property. That's at the corner of North Main and Main Street, the island where we have some weeds growing out of control and such that, the township has maintained it for about the last 2 decades since
Right.
the folks on the road commission redid that property and sectioned off his island there. The question was whether or not the township was going to do plantings there this year, or whether they were going to maintain it as they have, since it's an entry point into the community. And I wasn't sure kind of where that was at. I know we always have in the past, but I know that's it's an odd parcel because it's in the middle of the road, and it's owned by the individual that owns the old gas station that's now A&M Tower, I believe, is what he has in that property. But and I believe or something Tower, I just don't remember the name of it. But I know in the past that J&M has, Jason Moffett and his organization have maintained that. Is that correct, Mr. Wagner?
That is correct. And the reason nothing has been done with it was whenever in the past few years that I've managed that, I was under the understanding that that property was a county right of way, county road right of way. And when
That's what I thought.
when I found out that it was privately owned, I didn't feel comfortable maintaining it if it's a privately owned piece of property, because where does that end, or where does that stop? But if the board chooses to maintain it, I can direct J&M to take care of that.
I know Mr. Dillon also allows us to keep our sign that says welcome to Whitmore Lake. There are our sign to entry to the community on his property as well. That's his property.
Is that on the other side though?
It is, and we don't maintain that.
Yeah, we don't maintain that.
No, he maintains that, but maintains it and allows us to put our sign on his property there. But all that property in the road right away. It's all in the county right. It's happens to be privately owned, but most land in the road right away is privately owned. So, but that's been a question, because it is an entry point into the community that we've maintained for decades. So, Ms. Chick?
Yeah, it makes me feel uncomfortable as a resident that we're paying to maintain private property. So, I mean, where do you draw the line? I get that we can put a sign on that property that he allows us to, but I don't know. That makes me feel funny, weird. Yeah.
Ms. Manley?
Can we make this an agenda item instead of in comments so we
Yeah,
can actually discuss it?
Thank
I
you.
agree.
Going off into the weeds here.
Yeah, we can. We can. It won't be until middle of July, but it's looking pretty bad out there. But all right. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Moved by Chick. Anyone?
Support.
Supporting?
I support.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Good night.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.